Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Or welcome to the channel if you're just joining us. TV, the Chrysler, the 79-5-5A. Now, this is probably about 5 or 6. I don't know where we're up to. Anyway, the next part, we've just finished our lights on the front here. We've serviced and fixed up the remote control change system, motor system on the back of the tuner. So now the next thing I want to do is do some little stuff here on the tuner, the pots, on this assembly, and then we'll move on to the main chassis, checking caps, checking out, cleaning the chassis up. Yeah, that's where we're up to now. Now, this is a long-winded series. I'm doing it because some people, well, use are newcomers to this, and I don't want to go into too much electronic detail of the whole thing. I just want to sort of guide you overall about a restoration if we come up with faults, which there's no doubt there'll be things need doing with this. Well, I'll just explain what we're doing there to fix things and get this thing working. But overall, it's for the people that just like to look at, well, what it was like in the day, and if you've got one of these. So you might, not necessarily this model, but Chrysler's certainly, yeah, they're certainly very similar to all chassis. And this might give you a few tips on what to do. So, the first of all, we'll start on this bit here. The first thing is the on-off switch, which seems to work okay, but I'm going to clean all that up. These contacts here are the ones that change channels. It trips a relay on the back unit on the back of this. So we'll clean the contacts there. And this fine tuning, oh, very, very hard to turn. Now, I don't know how all this comes off. I don't know whether we've got to take the tuner itself out of this. Let's make a little bit of room here. Don't know. I'll bring you guys back down about there for years. I don't know whether it's going to be accessible from here. I want to take the sides off the tuner, clean the biscuits inside. I'll show you what the biscuits are, and check the valves. I'm not sure what valves we've got with this. Just a sec. Okay, just went and got my phone. There we go. There's the tuner assembly itself. So we've got a 6B8 as your oscillator mixer or converter or whatever you would like to call it in your country. And the 6ES8 is your actual RF amp on the front end where our antenna goes in. Okay, so antenna's in there on those two, and yeah, there's then it goes into the rest of the set. IF video amp, and yeah, that's what we're looking at. So the probably the thing we will start on when we get going on this will be yeah, we'll check the horizontal hole. Cut this bit out. Okay, the bit that we'll probably start on once we get going will be this bit, the power supply. I'm checking all that out, making sure everything is, yeah, within specs. So That's our power supply. Now that does have another little a little connector that's yeah, I'll guide you to that. There's a little switch on the remote socket that can, and it's that fella there that switches if the remote is plugged in so that you can turn it on and off at the remote. But we'll go back into that because we want to clean that switch. It looks grubby and dirty. But anyway, for the moment, we're going to have a look at this bit here. It's an NT3006. Right, we'll start by just cleaning some dust off this area. This has been, the dust has been blown off with my compressor, so there's not a lot on the front here. And we'll still clean things up a little bit though. Okay. Let's start with this switch. Very black contacts on that, so let's get a little bit of very fine wet and dry, probably in around 600-800, and we'll clean the contacts. Okay, I have some 800 wet and dry. Put him in here. Just push it on him gently and rub our paper across. And the contacts are looking pretty good there. Just a little bit more, just again on the other side. Okay, and you can see our contacts look nice and shiny. Okay, so we know they will work when we push them. That won't be an issue now. Round the back. Let's take it around the back here. We've got the on-off switch. Needs a little bit of a clean up. I'll just give me a brush in here, give him a bit of a clean off. Now that looks like a pot in there. If you can see that one, it's not. It's just it's an on-off switch only, a push-pull on-off switch, and it's just a toggle system. That's how it works. So let's put some lubrication on a couple of things here, and getting it working just a little bit smoother than what it is. Now I've got some very light 226, and I don't know whether we can. I don't think we can get any into the switch. I'm trying to keep you guys in the picture here. Put a little drop in there. Right. They're quite free. So the levers are quite free, as long as this fella isn't jammed up in any way, which he's not. That's working perfectly. Okay. Now, we'll back you out a little bit from there. You're a little bit close. That might be better for you. Okay, so now it's the tuner assembly. I think I think we'll go in from the other side. We do have to clean this up a little bit, so there'll be a little bit of this going on. Although he's not too bad, this fella. The tuna, as I probably told you, is an NT3006. So not that that means a lot to most of you, but some of you it will. Okay, we'll turn him over this way. We'll get you up on top here and show you what's going on with all this. Now, I've just noticed we have, I'll bring you around here. I didn't see this. We do have a solenoid in here that obviously is remote driven, and when the power is on, the solenoid probably clicks and turns it off. So, is this solenoid in here, is he working? Is he jammed? We better have a look, just a bit better look at this, I think, because in the end of him there, it looks like some rust or something like that. Don't know whether you can see it, but yeah, sort of, it looks like something we really need to address, because maybe this is jammed in and hence this doesn't work. So we do need to have a look at this. I suppose I could put power on it, but very difficult where it is. Okay. 2 screws and nuts, of course. Yes, there's nuts on them. Yep. So let's get those out and get this assembly out and make sure of this. Okay, got the screws out, bolts. There's a ground wire. Comes from the power switch and actually goes to ground. So this is probably switching the solenoid on and off, which, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to have a look at this on the circuit. But we need to, I think one contact is for a solenoid and the other one is for the actual power. Now, the on-off switch, that is a wire that's grounding or goes to ground when the switch is off, I think. I'm not sure how that's wired, but these two here would probably be the active in. But anyway, what we're chasing is this solenoid. So I don't know what voltage this is, possibly 12 volts. We'll see what we can do with it. I'll just get something to clean my hands with. This is a dirty piece of gear, this little piece. Let's put power to this and see, can I get him going. I will start at 5 volts, 6 volts, and take him up to 3 amps. Okay, I'll grab a lead and we'll hook him on here and see what he does. Okay. Be good to have a wireless mic instead of this one. Anyway, here we go. So, is he going to do anything? Yes, he does. Now, just got to get this free here. So, if this is pushed in, now, not quite enough power there to push him out. Let's go to 12 volts and see what happens. There we go. And yes, he's working fine. At least we know. So if the power's on, and we can now turn him off with the relay. Okay. Certainly working, no problem at all. Okay, at least now we know that's working. Whereas if we'd left it there, yeah, well, it's be a hassle once this goes back in situ because there's not much room in there. Right, now solder back this fella back into gear. This fella back in here. Like so. And I've probably mentioned to you, this is a set out of 1963. And when I was a young fellow doing my apprenticeship in Albury, New South Wales, at a place called Albury Telefix. I don't know whether any of you guys know that place. A chap by the name of Paul Holmes owned the place, and my mentor down there was Ken Argent. So, Ken, if you're around, mate, give us a hoy. It's been a fair few years since we were there. I was 17 at the time, so that's a little while ago. So, as I said, that's where I learnt, and as I was saying, one of these sets, this particular chassis, was the first television that I ever fixed. It was a horizontal fault, and it was a faulty capacitor in a horizontal circuit, horizontal oscillator. And believe it or not, in my training, the fault was put there by Ken, and I had to diagnose. I didn't know at that time he had man-made that fault, but yes, it was all part of the training. I don't think that happens anymore. Right, okay. Now, I had to take a tube out, a valve. We're in Australia, a 6BL8, the mixer. I've taken him out of there. Now, our other one is our RF. I'm also going to take him out. It's your RF amp, the 6ES8. Taking them out, all right? Simply because this thing mounts on a grommet. And the grommet, you can probably see, well, maybe you can, maybe, yeah, down in there, and they're as hard as a rock and mostly gone. So, a bit of movement in that tuner, which is not real good. So we know what that means, don't we, guys? It's got to come out. to try and do something with this. All right. So this looks like being a longer video again, but I'd like to show you how I'm restoring this. Not just a restore, it's how we do it. And if I'm just clipping some leads there to free things up a little bit. Right, so this is what we've got. We're on this side, we've got 3 wires here, 2 wires here. Simple as that. Not a big deal. I'm just going to jot down on a piece of paper where they go and unsolder them. I don't want them any shorter than what they are, so I don't want to cut them. Sometimes I cut them and leave a little bit of colour there so I know what goes back where. Don't want to do that with this. They're a pretty neat fit. And then around the other side, I think we've got a couple of earth straps. And then it's only a matter of, yeah, I suppose we're going to take this bracket off. And somehow, I don't know how, this front, this fine-tuning channel change system comes off. I really don't know how that's going to operate yet. Anyway, let me write these down and we'll go from there. Right, we've got all the wires off. The your IF wires coming out of the tuner. Now, it's a matter of undoing this fella here. I think he's got to come off to get out of the road of the back of the tuner. Okay. And trouble is, still doesn't want to come off. What else is holding this on? Ah, I see. There's 3 in there. Yeah, we'll get somewhere, I think. Here we go. Yeah, well, that needs a bit of a clean up as well. So, yeah, just when we took it off. Okay, and if I bring you guys in and have a look here, you can see why we're doing this. There you go. Those little grommets, hard as a rock. Certainly not doing anything to support the back of the tuner, and you don't need it moving like this when it's trying to turn. Okay. We'll undo those. Now, I don't know how it comes out the front. We'll just have to cross that bridge when we come to it. I'll take these 2 bolts out of the back of the thing. There doesn't appear to be any on the front of the tuner at all. It's held with a rubber insert at the front and the 2 grommets at the back. And the time is 3:42. It's almost coffee time with my wife, so we might can this for the moment. You won't notice any difference, but I'll have a bit of a break and a coffee for half an hour. And yeah, as you can see, everything is falling apart here. Yeah. Okay. No idea how the rest of this works. We'll work that out when we come back. but that will only be a couple of seconds for you guys. Okay, well, we've got to get this tuner out. So I've released the 2 back screws. He's all disconnected. He sits in a rubber flange here at the front. I'm not sure how this all comes out. It's coming forward. It can't go back because there's a flange here that stops it going back into the rubber. I wonder if this little rubber pulley will move forward. Doesn't really want to. He must. That's the only way of getting him off, I think. He's moving forward. There he goes. Yeah, he was sort of stuck on the shaft, but yeah. And that's our little pulley where our chain goes for the fine tuning. It's rubber, it's quite pliable, and yeah, that looks pretty good actually. That will work. We'll clean him up. Now this fella, there's a flange here that, first of all, there's a washer, but there's a bit of rubbish here. Just get a razor blade and try and get a little bit of that off. So he'll slide off. Okay. Now, okay, we've got a washer and we've got a brass sleeve, a brass bush rather, that is held fairly firmly on the front of the tuner. And now, there we go. Certainly things are tight here. This is very tight to turn, which should be quite easy. That's our fine tuning. And of course the center one is your channels. There's the back end of him. There's our clutch assembly that goes to the motor, to the remote control motor. And this is what we got him out for mainly, but then again, we can work on him quite easily like this. This rubber doesn't look real good. So we'll put in a grommet, probably a smaller grommet in there on each side. And yeah, while we're doing this, we're going to take the side off him, have a look at his the biscuits. If you don't know what biscuits are, well, you probably do, but there's more of them in here. So there's the front of him, or a top rather, antenna in, and our various connections there. And we're not going to touch these fellas, that's for sure. I don't have all the alignment gear to do this. Shouldn't need aligning. They sort of never ever did. Now there's also 2 screws here, and the bottom comes off, so the side and the bottom, quite accessible. All right, let's have a further look at this, and then we can put him back in, and let's do our pots then. And then that's this bit finished. Then that big bit we can put back in the cabinet. Looking forward to that. Okay, we'll put some 226 down the end of this shaft, in around the base of him. And we'll just try and get this fella just running. Oh, look at that. Almost instant. That's our fine tuning, which is obviously a variable capacitor in behind the front here. And that's running nicely. Now, we've got to clean up the front of this shaft. He's looking fairly grotty. I'm not changing the channels at the moment until I get it apart and make sure where our rotor is and whether it is on channel 1, which I took it off on. Just makes it easier when we're putting it back together. Now, what I want to do is take the side off and let's have a look at what's inside. These ones we just loosen. Oh, that one's tight. He's very tight. Now, here we go, guys. There's our biscuits. And they rotate around and touch on these terminals here, those connectors or contacts or whatever you want to call them. Now, we're looks like we're on what channel are we on? Not sure yet, but let's take the bottom off as well. I don't think we've got to take these out. Okay. Now we can have a look. There's our biscuits for each channel. Now I'm just trying to, yes, there's our channeling. So channel 8, okay. And we've got channel 9. And if we rotate around, so here we're on channel 0, I think. So we'll move one this way, and there he is, channel 1. So we were on channel 1. Those contacts there were touching on this biscuit. Now behind this biscuit, well, I'll probably pull one out and show you. There's small coils. So yeah, it's just as it says, it's a tuner. So there's number 1 as well. Very, very dirty in there. Now we'll bring him around. And what have we got? We've got channel 1 there. So we've got 0. We've then got 1. And the next one up, as you can see, is 2. All right. Now let's have a look. Let's lift one of these biscuits. This one is a channel 1 biscuit. Let's push this little spring clip aside, if I can, and let's have a look at what a biscuit looks like. Oh, he's fallen in there. There we go. Okay. There we go. There's a tuna biscuit. And this one would be the coils for the oscillator mixer, and that would be the antenna coils on the back. Much the same as a radio. You've got your different selection, different coils or different capacitance for each, for your oscillator and your RF. But a TV is not variable as such. It locks into one channel. So we don't vary it. We just have some little coils in there that are all preset, and it's varied with the fine tuning, which we'll get to in a second. Now, inside, you can see the other coils in there. Okay, so that's how a rotary tuner works. Now, put him back, slot him in at the back, and we've got to push him down at the front. Just bend that little tag out a little bit to get him in, and clip, and he's in place. Now, the fine tuning is a variable capacitor down the front there, and as you can see, it is simply plates together, two plates together, and it varies the fine tuning on the oscillator and the RF there. So, okay, all as simple as that. Right, now let's get this little baby all cleaned up. He's greasy. Contacts don't look too bad, although that one there looks, yeah, he looks a bit dirty. They always look a bit blackish. So let's go through. I'm using methylated spirits. Clean these up. I'll take this off so I don't lose him. Now, guys, I've decided, with me doing things uncontrollably, I'm going to take this side off, which is, no, we can't get this side off. What I'm going to do is remove the front bracket, the back bracket, that little spring, and we're going to pull the drum assembly right out of it. I'd like to check the resistors in here. And of course you can't get at them for the drum, but while we've got this apart, it's out. I never want to see it back again once it goes. I really want to just check the resistors. Why are we going to all this trouble for a VHF tuner when we don't have VHF TV anymore? The customer that has this will have a TV modulator on a set-top box, and he will be using channel 1, 0, 3, and 4. So this has to be working. It has to be working as is. Yes, we can soon put audio video input into it and run it as a monitor. That's not the exercise. The exercise, get the tuner working and the TV working as a full RF unit. Okay, so let's remove this drum. Okay, we'll release the spring. Gently push him out. There we go. And it certainly enables us to fix some things up here. Certainly lubricate this properly. Check our fine tuning. Yeah, that's good actually. All right, and easy to get at all the biscuits now. Clean this up thoroughly. Bit of rag, methylated spirits, and not much inside, but enough there to cause problems if there's a resistor, and those resistors in there are prone to failure, the little carbon fellas. Now, I do see one that's been replaced there. You can probably see him down in, yeah, down in there. He's a, what is he, a 3.3K. So I'm just going to check the rest. Won't record all this. It's straightforward. Clean these contacts, which we can clean very easily now, and get in here and remove some of this old horrible grease that's in here and put some better stuff in here. Okay, guys, I've been through it pretty well. Cleaned up inside, checked all the resistors. There's a couple of higher value ones, but they're not out of spec. So everything's looking good in there. So cleaned all these contacts up in there. So there you go. That's inside the tuner. Right, let's get on to the barrel itself. Clean all these contacts up and get this turnout here working a little bit better. Now we've cleaned all the contacts. She's all nice and clean. Looks good. Now, the fine tuning mechanism is a washer on a little spring, and there's a little tab there, goes into an indent on the side of the fine tuning wiper, so that when you turn him, he turns separate on the outside of everything. That turns nice and easily now. That's should be good. But anyway, it's time to put the whole thing back together now. So when we're putting it back together, you've got to make sure that they are in the correct position and they slot into their little guides, because otherwise this thing is very easily cracked. It's some sort of porcelain. It's actually metal impregnated. So yeah, but it's very brittle. So yeah, we've just got to be careful. Uh, don't jam it in another position other than where it wants to go in when we're putting it inside this. Okay, so it only goes in one way, obviously. That's the bigger end, the smaller end for the smaller spindle. And yeah, everything's been done in here. So it's time to reassemble. It goes in like so. Okay, so it fits in nicely. Now, what I want to do is smear a little bit of grease around on the areas that do turn. So in around the back there on the back, that there is a little spring sits in here, as you probably saw me take it off. Bit of grease there. Now the grease can't get it quite in there, but we'll put some grease around the centre. Like so. Okay, and a little bit around this end. But we can put this end on here. Now, this little fine tuning lever needs a little bit of grease in there just to make sure he runs fine. Okay, now that will push in, but if you remember, we have to put this assembly on first. Now this will mean some grease on this shaft, and there we go. Okay, now just a moment here. I'll reposition myself and get the camera there. Now, this has to go into place when we're pushing him in there. Okay, so as I was telling you, make sure this little indent is in position there. And that's how he goes in. Now, we will hang on to him, just put some tension and slip this little fella in. Now he goes on the outside. There we go. Right, there we go. And he doesn't move. Okay. There we go. Done. And there's our fine tuning. Okay. Now, let's get some screws in here. Once we get this done, we'll push this up against our contacts. Okay. We'll back them all off just a little bit. Okay. Just pushing on him a little bit to push him in against the contacts. What have we got? We've got a screw and a star washer. And we've got a spring that goes on inside there. Now this is still loose at the back. So we've got this little spring here. And put him over like that. And that's held him in. Now, as you can see, turns quite easily. So now we put on our little indent wheel. Now this is adjustable. So we get this little wheel so that he's right in the center of our little indent on the wheel. Okay. We put this fella on, and this spring pushes down on the wheel, which rides on this. Now this is a little bit more than what we started out doing, but gee, I'm glad we did it. And I'm sure lots and lots of guys out there know what I'm talking about with these tuners and what we used to do. But there's quite a few people out there that have never ever seen anything like this, and these are the people that I like showing what's actually inside these things. Right, now we'll get this pretty well in the center. About there. And we'll tighten this fella up. Now, is he still in the center? It's fairly hard to turn now with that little wheel there. Yep, he looks good. And you got that familiar sound of your channels being turned over. Okay, and then we do the side. Just pushes up. Make sure you get all those little cleats underneath the top arm of the assembly there. And just screw them up, not over tight, just tight enough. Right, there we go. And we can turn him. It's a little bit hard, but at least all that's working, and well, we hope it's working. So now the go is 2 grommets to replace these poor little things. Okay, well, I've got these from my favourite hardware store. It's one of those big shops that's greenish colour. It's not bluish colour, and they had some of these. So they're 1/4 inch by 1/2 inch. I think they will be around about the right size. So let's try them. Look at that. Beautiful. And does our bush fit? Should do. I still think he'll fit. Okay. Let's see what we can do here. Look at that. There we go. Right. Looks pretty nice to me. They will certainly do the job. Righto. So we're up to the stage of putting this back in. Now, I've got to clean up this. There's a rubber here that goes on the front of this. He's not in real good order, but we've got no choice other than to use him. And, of course, that's our rubber tyre. And yeah, this fella, we need to clean him up. Just the surface of him. But for the moment, we put this on, well, as we go. For the moment, that's done anyway. So let's get things around here and mount him up. Okay, I've just put the grommet, the rubber grommet, back in the front there, and let's mount this tuner. Certainly a bit different to what it was. Yeah, they fitted in nicely. All right, so now a bit of wiring. There's a ground lead that's got to go up to there. That one goes onto the top of our picture tube when it all goes together, onto the aquadag on the tube. This one, yes, he goes out to the front, and there's an IF. Oh, there's the IF. Yeah, gonna say, disappeared on me. So let's get those soldered up, and then we can chase it a little bit more down below where the pots are and start cleaning them and start lubricating and so forth, and check a few resistors down there. Righto, we've hooked up the tuner, the 3 wires here, our IF wires. We've got to put the tubes in yet. That cable can probably be over there somewhere, not near the valve. Now they're all fairly dirty, they're all grotty. So I'm going to start by a little bit of 226 or WD-40 or whatever you call it at your end, and just put a little bit on the shaft on the outside, just to start the process of loosening these up. These are fairly tight. Okay, so we'll let that sit for a while and try and loosen him up. This one may require a little bit of heat actually to soften the grease and get our WD into there, which you can do with a small blowtorch. Cigarette lighter can do the same thing. Just heat just gently on the outside sleeve, and it'll loosen up all the hard grease that's on the inside and certainly allow the WD to, well, flow into it a bit. Okay, so around the back, we've got to get in here, do a little bit of cleaning up. I wanted check these resistors. So I'll just bring you guys a little bit closer on this. There you go. Okay. So there's a few resistors here. Only a handful. There's about 6. There's a diode there. Not actually familiar with any of this circuitry at the moment. I'm not looking at. There's another diode cap. I'm not looking at the circuit at the moment. We're just going to get in here, clean this up, then we'll check some things. Okay, so we'll leave that for the moment. I'll be back. What will be a couple of seconds for you. Now, guys, I think this is your brightness. No, this will be a contrast. Now, this pot is still... I can turn him, but he's difficult to turn. Now, as you can see, he's mounted up on a riser, and there's another sleeve at the front. The actual pot's held on the riser with 2 screws there. So I'm going to loosen off this nut and try and get this riser off and try and get this a little bit better than what it is. It'd be pretty hard to turn with the small knobs that are on this unit. It is coming better, if there's such an expression. Coming better, getting better. How does that sound? Now I'm going to have troubles getting this back on. I didn't want to take him off because there's quite a few wires and things connected to him, which I'll show you now. There we go. Yeah, he's not too bad. Now, all these pots are fairly sealed. Very, very hard to get any sort of cleaning substance into them. You just have to take pot luck. That's, well, they're not too bad, or some of it has reached the inside of them. So, yeah, other than that, take them out one by one, take them apart, take the back off, and clean them that way. But I don't think we'll have to do that. These need a little bit of cleaning up at the front. We'll do that. And then, yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, so we'll check the resistors next, and then I'll come back to this thing up here and try and work out, well, how we're going to get that rubber wheel to grip on the shaft. Hello guys, I thought for the newbies, you can come along for the ride with me with checking the resistors. Okay, ohms on the meter. Now, I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with multimeters for the newbies, but anyway, we're going to measure some resistors. Okay, so we'll start with this one up here, yellow, purple, orange. Now that's a 47K. 4 yellow, 7 is purple, and orange is 3 zeros. That's 47K. So let's see what he is. 46. That's fine. This one is, if I can read it, red, red, yellow. So that's 2 is red, 2 is red, and yellow is 4. So red, 2, 2, and 4 zeros. So it's a 220K, 220,000 ohm. 220K, that's 228. That's fine. Green, blue, red. Green is 5, blue is 6, red is 2. So 5, 5, 6, and 2 zeros. 5,600 or 5.6K. And yeah, pretty close on that one. Okay, there's a little fella down the back here that's yellow, purple, yellow. That's 4, 7 and 4 zeros. So we're looking at 470,000, which is 470k, and he's 539. A bit high, that one. That's yeah, that's almost out of tolerance actually for that one. We may look at changing him. Brown, grey, red, which is 1, 8 and 2 zeros. So 1800 or 1.8k. 1.97, that's, close enough. Now, little fellow down in here, you can't see him. He's right down the bottom there, and I'll get to him. Brown, green, orange, so that's 1, 5 and 3 zeros. So 15,000 or 15k. Now, if I can get him there. And 15.2, that's fine. Another one here, yellow, purple, orange. So 4, 7 and 3 zeros, 47,000. 47k, 44k. It is on the borderline, but he's within range. Red, purple, yellow. 2, 7 and 4 zeros, 270,000 ohms, or 270k. Let's see what he measures. Now, there must be something else across there, because this fella here must be dragging him down. He certainly wouldn't have dropped to 45k, and he's gradually going up. So there's a cap here, possibly this one up here, that's drawing him back a bit. So we'll just ignore him for the moment. This one, 8, 2, 4 zeros, 820,000, 820k. And the same with him. I'd say the potentiometer he's connected to, it's probably, there's a little cap around this side of him. It's probably dragging him down. Okay, so that's it for all the resistors there. The main one that's out of spec is a little fella in here, 470k, and he's reading 538. That's a little bit high. What we could do is have a look where he is in the circuit and see if we're going to do anything with him. Okay, now we'll come back to that. There's 2 diodes here. OA, what are they? OA90s or OA91s. Okay, put this on diode test. Let's test the diodes. This fella should read around about 0.4. It's germanium, so probably in around 0.4, 0.5, 0.3. Okay. And of course we shouldn't have any reading that way, which is good. This one, no reading that way, and we should have about 0.3, about the same, 0.4. So they're fine. They're a little bit different to one another, but still, they're still working and they're still fine. Right, so what are we going to do now? Let's change that 470k resistor. That's the only thing that's a bit sus. But first, I'll go and grab a circuit and let's have a look at what that 470k is doing. Well, we've been through the circuit, guys, and I haven't got a circuit that's exactly the same as this, but it does go to one of the lines that goes to the remote control. So obviously it's in line with the maybe brightness, the contrast, maybe the volume. I don't know. The circuit I've got is it doesn't give the details of the remote connection. So we're just going to change him because he is out of spec. And if you can see him there he is. Okay, So let's snip him off and we'll measure him as well. There we go. And as I said, this is for you newcomers that are getting into electronics. You've got to learn rubbish like this. Here we go, 470k. Yeah, still reading 538. Way too high. Let's replace him. Otherwise, everything looks okay. It's a shame we sort of can't pinpoint it, but this section here is not actually on the circuit diagram that I've got, as I said, because it's part of the remote system. All right, I'll round up a resistor. We'll change him. You can see yellow, purple, yellow. So it's 4, purple is 7, and yellow is 4 again. So 4, 7, if I can focus, 4, 7, and 4 zeros. 470,000. Let's see what he measures. And 479. Right. Yeah, there he goes. There. Right. Back over where he was. There's my phone going again. And all that should be okay. Now, are these pots going to be noisy? We don't know. We're going to have to suck this and see, which is probably an expression for let's put it together and just see if it works. So that's about it. We've tidied up everything there. Excuse my ums and ahs, but I'm thinking of what else can I show you? Ah, yes. We've got to get this thing. We've got to get this thing mounted. Now, I'm thinking super glue. Super glue would last a long time on this. And if you remember earlier in the video, this is our fine tuning. So we need this fella to go on here and turn that shaft. Now, I'm thinking probably, gee, I don't know. Like we could use JB, but I don't want to get it down in the bearing there or anything like that. I think we're going to go super glue. We'll put some around the front, bring him forward, and then push him back so that there's no danger. I'm sure you can see there. There is no danger of this little rubber fella or the super glue going back onto that bearing. That's something we don't want. So we might just try and put it around the front, give him a wriggle, and try and smear it around, and I'm sure it'll grip. So yeah, we'll give that a go and see how it goes, and we'll try it in a few days and make sure that well, I think of it, we better put the bracket on here for the remote control unit there. Our bit we've fixed up, the motor and all this. So this bracket goes on here. Whoa, he goes, well, he does if you put screws in him. He goes on there and, well, screw him back on. Right, it's got our bracket for our motor assembly. Put him over here. Now we've got to work on this this number display and the actual chain and everything, the little mechanism that was going here to turn our fine tuning. Well, now it's time to start putting this bit together, the fine tuning, the little chain, and the idler wheel. Now, this idler wheel, sorry about that motorbike in the background, yeah, pretty sticky to turn, so we'll lube him up, clean him up. And once again, he's the little rubber with some teeth on him. We're still yet to find some of this. I think this is way too small for what it was, but I'm not sure. It may have just come undone. Okay, give him a wash. Put him in back in here. Now I'm just looking back at pictures, roughly where it was, but this is just an idler, so he's got to be tensioned up once we get the chain on. The next thing is the fine-tuning shaft itself. Haven't cleaned this up yet. Going to do a little bit of cleaning on the bearing. Clean this fella up. He's not in the best of shapes. As you can see, the rubber's not the best, but it will still work. And that little shaft goes in the bush and turns like so. So he, forget, he goes that way around, I think. No, he doesn't. No, he goes like that. And somehow, I'm just sussing this out myself. Yeah, that's how he goes. Okay, and the chain goes around the back of him. Right, so let's clean all this up and get this lubricated. A little bit of grease, of course. Put a little bit of grease in there. A little bit of grease around the shaft. Okay. And that's good. Now we'll put some grease on here. And around our shaft. The center there. Let's get him on. Okay. So you're probably wondering, gee, there's a lot to put back together and remember how it goes. Well, guys, I didn't remember. I have to go back and play the video in reverse that I recorded on this because, yeah, some of it you just forget, especially when you're an old bloke. It's not as easy as what it used to be. Okay, it's time for the chain. So we're going to work this chain out. Okay. Now, there is definitely a piece missing out of this because there's your chain, and yeah, we're perhaps 20 mil missing. What a shame. Okay, we're going to have to round up some more of this type of chain and see what we can do. I thought that may be all the one piece, but there's definitely a piece missing out of it. All right, I'll see what I can do, and we'll come back to this. I can't put the rest of the channel indication board and our light selector and everything on here at the moment until we get the chain. Maybe some other type of chain would work. Anyway, let's have a think about this and pause the video for a little bit, which will be an instant with you guys, and I'll see what I can come up with. Righto, guys. Well, I bought some little chrome chain, Bunnings, and it seems to fit the bill okay. The only thing is I could not join it on the balls. So you've got this joiner in here, but everything seems to work okay, even with the joiner in there. So this is more or less a set and forget thing anyway with the fine tuning per the channels, whatever channel you're on. But yeah, it does work. So we've got the chain fairly tight there. I don't want to put it too tight and put too much strain on it, but That seems to work quite nicely. It gets to the end and it actually jumps a tooth, which is good. And we don't want this rubber wheel on the shaft coming loose, the one we super glued on. So yeah, I think this is pretty good. I think this will do the job. I did look for curtain chain, but all the balls are actually spaced further apart than this stuff. This is just general chrome ball chain. So yeah, I mean, you know, a few dollars, and yeah, this fixed it up. All right, so now we can get on with the rest of the bits and pieces that go on the front here, and get this ready to put in, and that will be a wrap. And then it's the next part of the series. We'll be putting all this in the cabinet and yeah, chasing faults with the main chassis. Okay, let's get the next bit here finished. Right over the next bit, 2 springs on diagonal. I'm not sure, I don't know whether this is volume or not, but anyway, this is how it come apart. And then our plastic cover goes on over them, and then we put the knobs on. Now the knobs, white, 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 and the gold, gold, gold. But we'll put a couple on there at the moment. I think we've got to clean the knobs up yet. So yeah, we might leave that just for the moment and get this assembly in here, the switch assembly and everything, get this put back in. I've got to remember how all this goes. Okay, I'll round up the board and we'll get on with it. Right, yeah. Soldered the ground wire to the switch, to the base of the switch, and our live, it just goes onto the board, so, and supplies the lights. So now there's a little screw goes into there, and also on the top of this fella here. Now I'm pretty sure you guys can see that. I'll just bring this a little bit closer as we're doing this. Okay, there we go. So I go on here, being careful that the actual cables don't bind on the little chain behind it. Okay, so we've got our screw in position there. It goes into the tuner shaft if we can get him in the right position, which he appears to be. Okay, now I've just turned the tuner around 180 degrees. I think we had him. Now he's going in there. Yeah, we had him not quite in line. We have this board all mounted up. Everything should work okay there. Now we've got these little rubber surrounds that go on the lights. Let's put the motor assembly on. Now, we'll turn this around again, and I'll give you guys a different view of this. Right. Now the motor assembly has to go on the back here. It goes in and turns the back of our tuner in there. So here we go. Now, which way around did all this go? Okay. This should fit in like so. And there's a little bit of timing here either way that we've got to do once we get this all hooked up. Right, get some nuts. And the squeakiness of my chair sometimes drives me crazy in here. And once this goes on, boy, this unit is very heavy. Now, I've got to make sure that this meshes in. It's not yet. Here we go. Now, tip him up a little bit. And yeah, there's a nut up in there, which you can't see at the moment. We'll just get him on there to hold him in place. Right. And that now turns our channels, turns our tuna. All we've got to do now is make sure it's timed. So the channel 1 biscuit, make sure it's engaged with what will be channel 1 on here with the timing. We'll go through the manual with this and we'll have a look at how this is arranged. But at any time, we can just loosen this off and rearrange things, move it forward or backwards. And I hope it all works. Just tighten him up in the center of the slots at the moment until we work out and make sure everything is correct. The channel 1 lamp is engaged, which we can soon put a power supply on there and just see, make sure that the number 1 light lights up when the tuner is on number 1. Okay, so we'll come back to this shortly when I get a little bit better picture for you. Right, guys, I think we've finally got this right. I did have a little bit of mucking around with it, but anyway, we're channel 1 here. When I put the tuner together, I've double checked and it was on channel 1. So we have to engage the little clutch inside here. You can't see enough there. There's a little clutch, that fellow inside, which is there. Okay, there's 2 ways he can go. If you get him 180 degrees out, which of course we did. So it was on channel 6, I think it was, instead of channel 1. But that's only on this wheel. So it can go 180 degrees out. Turn him around so that this is on channel 1 when he's activating the switch here. So this comes around and turns he's a little bit hard to turn there, but turns the tuner, and now it's on number 2, as you can probably see there. Okay, so I know channel 1 is timed correctly. We've adjusted these 4 screws on their slots to turn it so that this little cam gear, this is a more of an instructional video. That little cam slides into the wheel channel in the correct position. So he slides in very easily. If this is either one way or the other, it will hit on the side of the wheel and not go into the channel. So if we turn him around and he goes straight in there. So we've just got to align that up, which I have done. And yeah, all that appears okay. All right. Now, we have to connect the wires to the motor. on a panel, and I think that's it. But that's it for the motor assembly. But now what we have to check, I'll put a light on this and see, is our front panel. This light should be lit up, number one, which once again you can't see. Number one. Okay, so let's put a power supply on this. I'll borrow my power supply here for a moment. I'm just charging a battery with it. We'll drop our voltage down to 6 volts. Okay, there we go. And we go from here to, can we get a connection with the brown wire? Where does he go? Over here to here. Okay, and we're on number 2. No, we're not. I think this is 0, and I think this is 1. Let me check this out. Well, guys, this is number 1 up here. This is on number 2. So we're going, did I change the channel back here? Hang on. We are on number 2. I did change the channel to show you the operation. So let's go back. I'll wind him back this way to channel 1. There we go. And number 1 is lit up. So now we're on channel 1 at the back. I know the biscuits are on 1 and number 1 is lit up. So all is good there. That's all working. Okay, let's clean the knobs up, get this on, plug in his remote lead to the motor assembly, put a couple of valves in, and this unit is then ready. Righto guys, all the knobs are done. I better hang on a minute, put my microphone on. There you go. All the knobs are done. Now, a spring goes on diagonals on those. This plate then goes on and he presses against the knobs. The white knobs are on the outside edge of, well, that side. And we'll try and line him up. Now, all these are round shafts. There's no chamfer, but there is a little indent. Yeah, we're not focusing real well today. I think I'm going to have to get another camera. Right, that one's on. We'll just get these on, and we'll finish this video up. I really appreciate you guys following along, because it it's good to be able to show you, if this will go on, to be able to show you, he's not going to, try this one, to be able to show you what we used to fix back in the early days. It's great, actually. I get a real kick out of showing you how it was with all different types of, oh, geez, they're hard, with all different types of, well, electronics, TVs, radios. I mean, I've fixed just about everything over the years. So, yeah. And it was a matter of, well, that's what you do. You're a technician, an electronics tech, and which meant you weren't a TV tech, you wasn't a radio tech, you're an electronics tech. So whatever came in, that was it. That's what you had to fix. So that was the era I come from. Now, well, get this back down. I'll have to unwind this again. Now over here somewhere I wanted to put these things still keep coming off here. Oh, there we go. I couldn't remember what it was. A cable tie on these fellas to just make sure that nothing goes near the chain. Yeah, so it was good over the years to be able to fix or have a go at just about anything that came into the workshop. I used to have a music shop and electronics repair, which we did for about 45 years, I suppose. And it was the next thing in is what you fixed. Righto, guys. Let's have a bit of a look at it there. There she is on the bench. This thing is still tangled up. Unwind him again. And these little buggers keep falling out. Stay in there. Okay. There she is, all ready to put back in. We've plugged our motor assembly back into the loom, which goes back into the unit. We know this is timed and working. We know the motor assembly works. We are hoping the tuner works. I do have to put the two valves in. In fact, we better not forget them. We better do them now, eh? Because they're a little bit hard to get to when when the unit's together. Okay, we've got one shield. I tell you, this workshop, things vanish in here. People must eat them. Anyway, we'll put the valves in. Our front valve on the front end here is our 6BL8, and our back one, which is our RF amp and mixer. There's our antenna in, so it goes very close to the valve there. So this is our our mixer, oscillator, and RF amp. Now there's a couple of shields that go on these. One of these shields was off. I'm just going to give these a little bit of a clean up with a bit of brasso or something, just to make it. I mean, that looks pretty ordinary, doesn't it? Just to make it look a bit nicer. Well, that didn't make a lot of difference, really. Hardly anything. So, yeah, I'm sure the owner won't mind. Now, we'll make sure our springs in here are seated so it holds the valves in place. We go around until we find the indent and twist him sideways. Okay. And as I said, this is for the newbies out there. Here we go. Find the indent. Where is he? There we go. Done. If you like what I do, give us a thumbs up on stuff like this. If you like following me along, this is a long-term project, and I really enjoy showing you what I'm doing to get this restored and in working order. But of course, it's not working at the moment. A bit to go yet, so we've got to get the chassis now back into the cabinet. All this back in, and it'll be a damn sight easier to work on once it's in there. So, as I said, give us a thumbs up if you like it. If you've discovered me and you're well new to the channel, subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next one of these or the one of so many videos that comes up on YouTube. Okay, guys, so the end of part 5. And looking forward to part 6 when we actually have this in the cabinet and we can see some action. Righto. So from me, it's bye for now.